Hello and welcome everyone in another episode of Researcher Celebrity. Today we have Dr. Prabakaran with us as our Researcher Celebrity. A brief introduction of Dr. Prabakaran. He has done his bachelor's in biotechnology and master's also in biotechnology, both from Bharatidasan University, Tamil Nadu. For PhD, he moved to South Korea and attended Chungbuk National University, did his PhD in medicine, specialization in radiation oncology. He did his postdoc also in Chungbuk National University and then moved to Japan as a visiting scientist in National Institute of Radiological Sciences, QST, Japan. Currently, he's an assistant professor of biotechnology in SRM Institute of Science and Technology in Chennai. With this brief introduction, I would like to say thank you so much, Dr. Prabakaran, for taking time out for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for a nice introduction about me.
We always start this conversation that how and when you decided that you want to become a researcher.
Uh, During my master degree, I did it in Jamal Muhammad College, Tiruchirappalli, where we had a invited talk from a scientist from Germany. He was our super senior from the same institute. That time, he shared his insights, how he got the DAD fellowship in Germany, and what are all the opportunities at this age we can get. That thing motivated me to do a PhD.
Nice. So having sitting in those talks, and this is one thing which we always say to all the audience here, that attending those seminar talks, those invited guest lectures is so important that as you got your motivation to do PhD from one of those where you were actually doing a peer connect also, because as you mentioned, it was a senior from the same institute who was delivering the talk. So
Yes.
what was so when you got motivated, what was the next step for your PhD?
That time, when I doing my master degree research, that time we don't know how to write a paper or how to collect a paper. We are just a blank. So that time, one of my professor, Dr. Mohammed Jabir, he is very helpful in guiding our MSc project, which is on cervical cancer. We studied the anti-cancer activity of Indian herb, Tinospora cordifolia, and we studied the anti-cancer effects in cervical cancer cell lines. And then during my master degree, I attended a lecture which conducted in Bharatidasan University, a professor called Akbar Shah. He was the main person where I chose my career in, especially in cancer research. Yes. So I attended a certificate course at Bharatidasan University. That time, from a MSc biotechnology student stepping into a biomedical research, that too in cancer field, it's really a fascinating thing. After attending several lectures, I put myself to do this kind of researches.
Nice. So having this opportunity of, as you mentioned, you did a certificate course in cancer, which moved you from biotechnology to biomedical sciences. We'll say that all the audience who are listening to this conversation, that if you have this opportunity of internships, of having these certificate courses, this is the best way to check yourself and your aptitude that are you interested in research or not, because we will be discussing this, that how that certificate course has changed the path for Dr. Prabakaran before PhD. So what was the next step when you already have uh, experienced the research firsthand in this certificate course? Now you wanted to do PhD even more than after listening to your senior in an invited talk at your when you were doing your masters. So what were the different aspects of research you started exploring before joining your PhD?
What are all the
different aspects, like where do you want to do your PhD, what will be the subject you want to do it in, and if you already have some mentors like PIs or the labs you want to join.
Yes. When I started my master project, that time I told you before that my one of my professor named Dr. Jabir, he is the person who taught me from the tip of how to do as a cell culture, animal cell culture, where we isolated mouse liver cell and we do the primary cell culture. And then he purchased cell line from NCCS Pune. And he is the person motivated us to do this kind of basic things. And soon after that, I wanted to learn some of the advanced techniques in cancer biology. So that time we used to visit the Bharadas University, some of the labs where we go and see how the people will work. In India, the person whomsoever working in their streamline, the knowledge gaining is totally different. For example, if someone is studying in a normal village, some of the autonomous institution, or a city, metropolitan cities, the knowledge gaining aspect is totally different. So when I did those things, I got to know, so some of my seniors got the opportunity to, they got the PhD in abroad. So I wanted to know how the people they are learning and what kind of techniques they are using and advanced cutting edge techniques they are learning. So that thing make me to move to the abroad to do my PhD.
Yes. So having this peer connect again is one of those networking uh, important part. It can play an important part whenever you're planning for moving abroad. Having those connections there is very important part too. So when you decided that you want to move to South Korea, obviously moving from Tamil Nadu to South Korea was challenging in different ways. And if whatever you want to share, like science or personal challenges, whatever you faced when you just moved.
Yeah, this is a very important question. Uh, Still, from my schoolings to my master degree, I never used to stay in hostel. I'm a day scholar. During my BSc days, just 3 kilometer distance from my home to my college. And for my master degree, I usually traveled by train from Tanjavur to Tiruchirappalli. I'm a day scholar. So I don't know anything about how to stay and how to shape up my life or how to manage the timings. At the age of 24, I stepped into my PhD career. Suddenly from Tamil Nadu to Korea, it is really a challenging. I cannot able to express those hot days in words. It is really a good experience. Totally, I need to make my own food because the food habits is totally different. The cultural challenges and the weather conditions, everything is totally new in my career path. So we need to adjust how the people are working in foreign laboratories. As you might know that all over the world, Koreans and Japanese, they are the very hard workers and they utilize maximum of their time, nearly 12 hours to 14 hours in laboratory. They used to sleep for just 4 to 6 hours, most mostly. So suddenly from this end to that end, it's not a easy journey. So I struggled a lot. Day by day, I learn. I overcome my several failures, even hundreds of failures, I can say. Every week we have a lab meetings, seminars, and during my PhD day, I have a very good chance to interact with many foreign students from China, Vietnam, Mongolia, Cambodia, so the Japanese people, and some of the North Indian people I used to meet over there.
Nice. So having this international group where you were part of, one thing which you say that the science like we always have these in our conversations that science basically doesn't change. The fundamental of science, either you do in Asia, Europe, United States, or anywhere in this world, the basics of the science never changes. But again, the infrastructure, the technology, the instrumentation, it changes so much. So when you were working in India and when now you are doing your PhD in Korea, you might have faced those advanced instrumentation and infrastructure also. How you utilized that for your PhD to make it even more efficient?
Yeah. When I started my PhD, that time only I learned the basic molecular biology techniques like Western blotting, PCR, and other cell cycle analysis. The thing is, Korean government, usually they'll spend a lot of money for research. I think all over the world, they are the ones spending the highest number of GDP for research than US. So if you order any chemicals, within a week, it will be delivered on your desk. So the time constraint, before starting your experimental plan, the materials will be ready. The materials it cost around 2 to 3 lakhs. Some of the antibodies which cost 80,000 to 90,000 or nearly 1 lakhs. So the government is spending a lump sum amount of money for the research. But our main task is to give the perfect result. So during the every week lab meetings, I supposed to be ready. I supposed to finish up all my work and need to present to my professor. My professor is a MD, PhD, doctor, and the head of the department, Professor Woo Yun Park. He usually busy in his patient schedule. Every week Thursday we have a lab meeting at 5:30 p.m. Before that, I need to finish all my work and I need to present the weekly lab data. After that, I need to explain him what are the things I'm going to do for the next week. So, as you know, for a researcher, there is no Saturday, Sunday. For the next week, Thursday, I need to plan when I supposed to seed the cells and when I need to give the cells to irradiation treatment and then cell lysis and then other Western blotting and other related techniques. And then I need to be ready with those results and need to satisfy the mentor. Then only he will give the fellowship. Because in compared to India and Korea, the fellowship scale is totally large. The tuition fees also it is very high. The government take care the entire cost of our studies as well as our living expenses. So that time I got some of the seniors, they helped me most for learning those things to overcome the failures. So I cope up with that.
And having that support system, as you mentioned, the seniors helped you all. Either it is from the lab environment or it is by having the clear communicating, like the whatever the results you have with your supervisor. These are all those key important factors for any researchers, either a PhD student or a postdoc, or even in future whenever they do. So you mentioned about long working hours, correct? As a PhD student, no weekends because of different reasons. How about the work-life balance you have experienced during your PhD, and then in comparison to Korea to Japan, how these things also changed?
For example, Korean people, they work hard. At the same time, they will enjoy during their weekends. Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, they used to go around roaming, sightseeing, and other outside parties like that. But Japanese people are totally different. Even if they go for outing, they will discuss science in those areas. Like that kind of people they are. Really, it's a great inspiration from them. If you move to Japan, we can see what kind of innovations they developed for the society. And another thing, how that country changed after the war, as you might know about the Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and that thing. And also, the people are facing several disasters. It's a continuous, frequent earthquakes, typhoons, so and so. So the people mindset is totally different. They never thought about how to say, making money or other things. They will totally dedicated to their work.
Mhm.
In Korea, you can find some work-life balance in some form, but in Japan, it's not there. In my eye, I didn't see it. Even people
Mhm.
used to sleep in the travel.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the PhD part. One of the biggest challenge scientifically you have faced, and then how did you overcome that
During the PhD days,
during the PhD? Yes.
uh, continuous learning
Mhm.
makes me to reach this position. And another thing, uh, sacrifice, dedication, continuous efforts. These are the things I
Okay.
would say.
So you did a small postdoc also in Chengbu University. So before moving to Japan, when you were done with your PhD, a clear path for your current place, like how sure you were that you want to do your next step also in research and then having this dream of becoming a faculty in India. How clear was that path?
Okay. Frankly speaking, Korea is not in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, After I did my master degree, two
Mm-hmm.
years I worked in Bharadas University. Even I registered my degree in plant science. Uh, and I started my research on identifying the anti-cancer molecules in some Indian herbs. 2 years passed, and later I got opportunity from Korea. So suddenly I thought whether the field which attracts me most, radiation oncology. But in India, it is very, very hard to do a PhD in radiation oncology.
Mm-hmm.
So that thing motivated me to move from India to Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, where one of my known person, Dr. Tyagarajan Ramesh, he is the person, he is the main reason for me to move to Korea. He made that. So,
Mm-hmm. So then from there, from Korea to Japan.
yes, my area of research is, as I told you, that radiation oncology and cervical cancer. As you might know, most of the cancer, more than half of the cancers which are treated by radiation therapy, and the main part is how to overcome the radiation resistance. When individuals exposed to radiation treatment, the main problem they face is the treatment failure, which means the radiation induced damage, it will be repaired by some of the markers. So my area of research is on identifying the oncoproteins which are involved in the DNA damage repair. So I worked on X-rays. X-rays are widely used all over the world for treating cancer. Where in Japan, where they used a carbon ion beam, which is a pioneering institute. Uh, that institute uh, identified that carbon ion beams. They are the one they innovated. During 1994 itself, they started the treatment. All over the world, there are only 8 centers. Japan itself, they having 4 centers using carbon ion beam therapy. For setting up of that particular system cost several crores. It's not affordable. Uh, During my visit in Japan, I met a doctor called Dr. Tapesh Bhattacharya from Kolkata. He was a MD radiation oncologist. He came there for a training, how carbon ion therapy works, and what are the things uh, it will be helpful to set up those system in India. He came there for a period of 3 years.
Mhm.
Yes.
So when you were doing your visiting scientist tenure at Japan, when you thought that moving back to India will be your final dream or destination?
Yeah, I said right. Korea is not in my mind. The thing is, it's a totally a different thing. I never ever thought that I will move to abroad. like that. When I started my PhD and during my postdoctoral tenure itself, I decided I supposed to come back to our country. Here we came for learning the things. And then that particular thing, it should be helpful to our country and our society. So that thing I'm very clear. When I started applying India for jobs, that time COVID started. As you know, China is the nation first affected. The next is South Korea. So most of the people, they moved from Korea to India. That time they banned all the flights. That time the recruitment process and other related things that were stopped for the period of 2 to 3 years. So those days are very hard for me. There is no connectivity from Korea to India. And then that time my family was here. And then after once the situation gets normal, I applied several interviews in India. I got selected in CDFD, I shortlisted in CDFD, JIPMER, NCCS, and then some other private universities. And then finally, I got an interview call from SRM, and then I got selected.
So having these exposures or like, in different Asian parts, be it South Korea, be it Japan. Now, when you have this mentor role, now when you are taking the PhD students and, educating the next generation of researchers, what are the things which you have learned from your experience while you are passing it on to the next generation?
Yeah. During my time, my period of time, I come to know about the abroad experiences at my master degree level. But in SRM, it is really a very good platform for the students. During their bachelor degree, BTech biotechnology itself, the university is offering them to move to any world top 200 to 500 universities to do their BTech project as a student abroad program. So based on my experience and my connections, I will help them. I will motivate them to apply these labs. If you are interested in cancer biology or environmental related research or plant science or other related domains, if they are interested, I will share the connection, the particular professor's contact number, and they will send their motivation letter. And if it suits them, they will join, even with stipend.
Absolutely. That is a wonderful mentorship, the thing which a mentor should do. But having that science in one part, like as an integral part, that did you also talk to them about the three C's, about the culture, climate, and cuisine whenever they are moving for those? Because that's what you have experienced. So, do you share
Exactly.
those experiences too?
Yeah, the first thing I'll say, don't think that the foreign country it will be looks like our nation. Here, the food habitats, it is totally different. And the important thing I forgot to mention,
Mm-hmm.
as you know, some of our people, Indian people, Jainism or vegetarian people, it's very hard for them to survive in in that harsh weather conditions. Even the language is a big barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in Korea and Japan, mostly professors they are very good at English,
Mm-hmm.
but running the life with the common people like the vegetable vendors or the restaurant people, whatever we are saying, they don't understand. Even now we are having smartphones. During the 2011, 12, 13, that time, after I think nearly after 13 only that smartphone and related things which are very common. So that time we can translate or we can show. It's very hard. So whenever I used to train our students, the first thing I will say, the total weather condition is entirely different from ours and the food habitats. You need to adjust with that food condition. Some of the food it will be smell that you ever expected or you never faced those things. So we need to be very careful. And another thing, during those weather condition, the health is a major factor. If you are in good health, then only we can do the things better. That's the first line. So before that, I give a training related to those things, how to cope up with that and how to
Absolutely.
manage.
I think this added another C to the list. So, for all the audience who want to taste the research outside India, having this four C's in mind is very important. That there will be a cultural difference. There can be the climate, as Dr. Prabakaran mentioned, it can be extremely harsh. The cuisine, the food habitats, if you are sufficient enough to cook for yourself and then you can support your healthy lifestyle, sure. These are the things also to include whenever you're thinking to move out. And also having this communication, like the language barrier. In some of the countries, English is not the first language of communication, also. So these are all the four different C's which you should keep in mind when you are making your list uh, for the abroad countries where you want to move, where you want to enjoy your research, or even for career if you are planning to settle down there. What these are the things which people are not aware of completely or neglect or ignore. And if you ignore them, then these things are going to impact you high time, not only mental health but also physical health also. So coming back to the conversation, Dr. Prabhakaran, when now you have experienced so much of diverse backgrounds, either it is climate or it is about the infrastructure, as you mentioned, the top notch technologies in Japan, starting once you have accepted this current position, establishing your own lab, establishing yourself as an early faculty, how challenging was that?
Well, in Korea, the system is different. It is totally based on research domain. For example, compared to if you take a master degree, in India, it's of 2 year course, where 1.5 year the student will learn the basic theories. The final semester, they will move for a project. But in Korea, it is totally different. Once they stepped into the institution, they will be working under a single professor. It means of full-time research. They need to publish a paper, one international journal, then only they will get their master degree. So in the meantime, every week, 2 to 4 hours, they're supposed to attend a lecture on their own wish. Some of the allied papers or some of the mainstream papers they will choose. And that point of time only, they will go to the other particular lecture rooms. And then after that, soon after that, they need to return back to the lab and they need to focus on their research. These are the two kind of things. So once I come to India and started my early career, it is quite challenging. The main thing is most of the time I supposed to teach the younger generation, especially BTech students. So I need to spend a lot of time in learning. And the meantime, sending them for higher studies or for their projects to abroad, that thing I can easily manage. Yeah. And another thing, uh, from the schoolings, they just enter into the institution and teaching them the basic things in molecular biology or in life sciences. It takes much time. Yeah.
Which aspect of your job, the research or the academics, which you enjoy the most?
Research I enjoy the most, and teaching I am learning.
Okay. Nice. That's
Yes.
a great attitude for a researcher. So one thing which we all also would like to know now, like we have seen the Indian scenario for PhD students is changing dramatically. Now, kids are a little bit more aware that what they want to do. And now having this well understanding before they commit to PhD, still what has been noticed that students are dropping out from their PhDs after 3, 4, 5 years sometime. And in very sad cases, there are suicides. There were so many in all around the country. But how, as a faculty, you think that we should change or bring some changes in our system, in our like the process so that we can have these young researchers enjoy the research?
It is really a very, very important question, as you asked, related to mental stress and suicide. Okay, I will tell you the two things. As a student, if I got an opportunity to do my PhD in abroad, what are the things in my mind? Yeah, I'm getting a fellowship monthly and I'm going to spend my life in abroad. Like that, we will think. But in the professor point of view, they are having a higher pressure. The thing is, they will get money from the government. For that money, they are the answerable person. So anyway, within the stipulated period of time, for example, a two-year project or a 3-year project, at any cost, they need to complete and submit the results in their point of view. So that all the burden will come on our head. We need to take care of the entire things. We need to produce the best result, and we are the one need to show the perfect output. Once we do this thing better, then only the professor can get the next project and they will move to their career levels. So in this point of time, what will happen if there is a failure? If I am unable to get any kind of results, or uh, I cannot able to move up, that time the students uh, have a lack of guidance in the foreign land. We don't have any best mentor at that place. So in that period of time, we should connect with some of the senior professors or some of the seniors and then get some guidance how to overcome this particular pressure. That's the thing.
Definitely.
Yes. In my experience, I faced some of the students who committed suicide from East Asian countries, some of the students. It is very quite common in foreign nations. So students should be aware of that.
Having this clear communication, like we always say that nothing is more important than your life. Stress
Exactly.
can be like is stress is a part of every human's life. No matter you are in research or doing any other job, stress is there always. But one thing as a researcher which we should ensure, that stress cannot be chronic. Acute stress is common in research, like as you mentioned, having manuscripts revised. Those revision, you have some time point where you have to work a little bit extra, or having the as a faculty from the faculty point of view, having those grant submission deadlines, then you have to work a little bit extra. But keeping all of this in mind, acknowledging the burnouts are also very important. Having that work-life balance is very important. Based on your experience, what you can suggest to our young researchers who are listening to this conversation, how they should manage a well balance between work-life balance, and whenever they feel the burnouts, how they should bring their enthusiasm and passion back.
Before starting the work, we need to have a basic plan for the next 6 months, what I am going to do. The one important thing you reminded, if you take Koreans and Japanese, they have the next 1 year of plan, what they are going to do. For example, this first month, at this first week, what are their criteria and what are their first thing they are going to do. For example, getting the results during the second month, collection of results and sorting out what are the good things it will be suitable for the manuscript, and the third month paper writing, and the fourth month submission. Like that, based on the planning, they will move forward. But in our case, we failed at that point. So planning is very, very important to overcome these issues.
And I think that is why some of the very successful researchers said that take your time to sharpen your axe before you go for cutting the tree or whatever you want, because this is your tool. Having that skill set ready, having that, as you mentioned, having that timeline ready, that you have to have a plan which you are working towards. You cannot start a PhD or cannot do a research for a long time without a proper plan. And then always, as you mentioned, there has to be some point of what we say, that re-evaluation, because most of the times research do not go the way we want or the way we think. There are always diversions, there are always struggles, hurdles which we have to overcome, and if we are not prepared, then it is one of those factors which adds on extra stress. And having those support systems, either your friends, the communication with your supervisor, or the peer connect, the networking, especially in this time when you can communicate to any researcher all around the world by via an email. You just write them, and within 24 hours probably you can receive the response for that. So this gives you that ease, that do not let the pressure increase or build up over the time. Try to release as and when it is possible. So Dr. Prabakaran, when we are walking towards the edge of this conversation, I would like to know that if, based on your experience, if you have to suggest 3 points, what we call that as word of wisdom to young researchers, what will be they?
We say the connections, as you mentioned, emails. But now the younger generation, they have many platforms like Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and many things. You can easily connect to a particular professor in a matter of short period of time. But during our days, it's not like email is the only mode of communication. But now it is easy. It's just a matter of second. Connection will make us to reach greater heights. That is really a best thing. For example, if I would say our younger generation to enroll in many societies, scientific society, based on their domain, they will get the best professors and other Nobel laureates and scientists. Their insights, it will be very helpful for them. So connections plays the major role in research.
Mhm. So with this, we'll say to all the audience that if you want to write to Dr. Prabakaran, you can write to him. If you want STEM for Society to put you in touch with our researcher celebrities, we are there to support you. The only thing which we want from you is your passion. If research is what makes you happy, we are there to help you troubleshoot, to overcome all the hurdles and challenges in the possible way. There is the plan, the program also, mentor mentee program. If you want to be in touch or be mentored by one of our researcher celebrity, you can write it to us, and then we can help you with whatever we want. With this, we'll say thank you so much, Prabakaran, for taking time out and having this conversation. I'm sure this will be fruitful for so many audiences, and probably they'll reach out to you and get benefit from your expertise.
Yeah, thank you. I thank your channel, Empowering Science Foundation. You are doing really a very good thing for our younger researchers. During my period of time, that YouTube, your kind of people's support we lack. But this generation, they are getting it easily. I hope they will be very useful for your service to the nation and the youngsters. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the kind words. And yes, what we want to do with our this researcher celebrity series is we want to celebrate every researcher in the world, and that is at the core what we have. And I hope we can stay going. That is the thing. And with this, we'll say thank you, Dr. Prabakaran, and to all the audience. Stay tuned for another episode of Researcher Celebrity.
Thank you.